Hello everybody, MorbTron here, and before you think otherwise, this is not a video saying, oh, Lord of Wolves is overpowered, needs to be nerfed. That's already been beaten to death here on YouTube. I want to talk more about the issue I have with the overall problem of people saying Lord of Wolves is overpowered, or the supposed community outrage that another weapon is very powerful and ruining the game for everybody, etc., so on and so on. So let me just start by kind of showing the difference between a controller and mouse and keyboard. Now, I'm not a Lord of Wolves user. Personally, I don't like the weapon. Never have. Didn't like it in D1. Don't like it in D2. I don't even care that it's overpowered. I don't like using the weapon, so I don't use it. So let's hold reload. And this is on mouse. And I have a controller plugged in. And if I wiggle the joystick enough, it should... There we go, switch over. So when I have the circle reticle, I'm on a controller. The Xbox Elite controller, hooked up via USB. So that's a thing. Then we'll just switcheroo back over to mouse. There we go. So this is mouse. You just have to take my word for it. And aiming down sights with Release the Wolves active. Pretty easy to control the recoil. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch over to controller. There you go. And aiming down sights. I still can control the recoil, but it's a lot harder. So let's go without trying to control it at all. There you saw that, and now let's switch back over to mousey mouse, and the level of recoil between mouse and controller is a noticeable difference. So let's start out with that. So this issue is, of course, more prevalent on PC, and Bungie themselves have acknowledged that. They said, hey, Lord of Wolves on PC is a little bit ridiculous. We're going to address it, but not until later on this summer. And I can respect that, because fixing a weapon with their engine, it takes a lot more time than it should. My big issue with the issue of Lord of Wolves being overpowered is more based on the community than it is on the weapon itself. And don't get me wrong with that statement either. I do think that the Lord of Wolves does need to be adjusted a little bit. I'm hoping that Bungie doesn't nerf it into the ground, and I do think that maybe the range needs to be looked at, so maybe you shouldn't be able to kill people from 60 meters away with the Lord of Wolves with a one burst standing in a rift, but you know, it'll get adjusted. Bungie will do their magic, they'll get it working again. All will be good. I'm just hoping they don't nerf it into the ground, and they've already said they're not going to completely disable it because it's not that big of a deal compared to other weapons that they've had to do that for. And that's kind of the basis of the point I'm trying to make here, is that this sort of thing has been complained about before. Not the Lord of Wolves specifically, but there's always some sort of what people would consider an overpowered loadout or a sweaty meta that people are going to call out to get nerfed. The only difference is, instead of people, you know, playing against that sort of thing, calling out for a nerf, saying this is stupid, I don't want to play against this loadout anymore, it's the people that we see using it that have said, hey, this thing is stupid, by the way, I'm still going to use it. So you'll see here the 6-stack that I'm going up against. There's a lot of top tier players in the 6-stack, and they're all using Lord of Wolves, and I have no beef with any of them, no disrespect towards any of them, just running into them. And this, by the way, was the only 6-stack I ran into all using Lord of Wolves. I played up against other 5-stacks, other 6-stacks this week in Iron Banner, but maybe only 1 or 2 of them have been using it. This is the only time where the level of toxicity with using running into a 6-stack using Lord of Wolves was pretty high. And I'm not mad about it. I'm not, you know, upset at them for using the meta, for using the weapon that's powerful. They wanted to win, whatever. You know, it's an item in the game, and they're going to use it if they want to use it. So, and the reason why you can't really be mad at them, is there's always going to be a meta in the game. There's always going to be that loadout or that one item that people are going to call overpowered. The only difference is Destiny 2 has actually been fairly good about that. You know, last season you might have seen, instead of saying, oh, this 6 stack is using, they're all using Lord of Wolves, but their other like their subclasses, their class exotics, their other weapons they're using are going to be different. Whereas last season it was more of an entire loadout was overpowered or sweaty, or the meta, where you had either One-Eyed Mask using Titans, Way the Wraith Hunters using a Dustrock Blues, a Not Forgotten, and Wardcliff Coil. So instead of having the whole package, you just have that condensed into one item this time, and that's why it's catching a lot of attention, catching a lot of flack. And in reality, if you aren't able to control the recoil or you're not used to the weapon, you can get shut down pretty easily. But the skill ceiling for Lord of Wolves is pretty short as well. You corner camp with this thing, come around a corner, surprise somebody from 20 yards away, they're probably dead on PC. But if you can't control the recoil, you're going to get shut down. So that's that. I mean, there's always going to be a Lord of Wolves. I'm not saying the Lord of Wolves specifically, but there's always going to be that one outlier out there, that one meta, either loadout or weapon, that people are going to use. You know, once the Lord of Wolves gets nerfed, it's probably going to be people running around with the Austringer hand cannon, using a Wardcliff Coil or Truth, and then, either using a shotgun or sniper rifle for their energy weapon. That's just going to be the way it is. That's the way that video games in general, in a player versus player environment, are always going to be. People are going to use the best tools to get the job done. They're going to take the path of least resistance to victory. And, I mean, the same thing goes for competitive. You can't go into competitive right now and not expect, if people are, going for the easy wins, or they want to just make sure that they're at least on an even playing field with the people, that would be for sure using Lord of Wolves. They're also going to be using Lord of Wolves. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens when, what they do with Lord of Wolves, and what happens afterwards. What's going to be the new meta after this one outlier gets knocked down a peg or two. Like I said, hopefully it's not nerfed into the ground. I'm really hoping that the exotic stays relevant, maybe just not as potent. So, but that's all I had to say. Again, no hard feelings towards anybody on the enemy team here in this video. The meta's gonna be meta, and unfortunately this one just sticks out a little bit too far, and is going to get the nerf bat. So that is it. If you want to show your support, hit the like button, that sort of thing. Subscribe if you're new, if you want to see more of my content. But do not forget to have a good day, everybody, and I will catch you all next time.